Well, this should not come as a surprise to anybody, but the Vancouver Canucks are popping off with news of guys that are going to leave, updates from around the NHL that have painted this team in a very negative light, and, we cannot get through this offseason ignoring it all. We have to make videos about this, we have to acknowledge that these things are happening, and as a result, it makes for a very negative and non-engaging show. At least, I hope it's not non-engaging. I try to make this as engaging as it could be, but still, it's hard to do that when the themes stay the same throughout every single episode. Today, though, what I wanted to do was head over to TSN and their latest That's Hockey segment. Because this was posted about on social media earlier in the week. It was from, when was this? May 26, so yesterday. From Domino's Canada, the That's Hockey segment, they had Bruce Boudreau on the show sharing his best fits for UFAs Mitch Marner, John Tavares, Nick Ehlers, and more. As we approach the one month mark, before free agent frenzy on July 1st. Now, of course, you know who it is that we are focusing this video on from the title and from the thumbnail. But in the segment, Bruce Boudreau does go out there and talk about one of the players that he had the option of coaching in the past. It is yet another double B alliteration name. Bruce Boudreau speaks out about Brock Boeser and where he thinks Boeser will sign this upcoming offseason. We're going over onto an article on hockeylatest.com because it just transcribes the quotes. You can watch the video yourself. It'll also be linked in the description, both the article and the video on TSN's That's Hockey segment. This evening, during a new segment with former Canucks head coach Bruce Boudreau, he ended up turning heads for his comments on Brock Boeser. Boeser is, of course, on an expiring contract and expected to be a UFA when July 1st rolls around. His former head coach Bruce Boudreau added his opinion to the conversations on Boeser's future. I think Brock is a really good player, Boudreau says. He loves his home state of Minnesota. He lives in the Minneapolis area. He's wanted to go back there. Then, Boudreau goes on to discuss the fit from the Wild's perspective and believes that the Wild should be eager to land Brock Boeser. I think not only do the Wild have the money to spend, they also need a second-line scorer behind Kaprizov. I think he'd be a great fit in Minnesota. And this is not new. Definitely not. We've hypothesized the idea of Brock Boeser heading over to Minnesota for ages now, ever since the season went off the rails and everybody was talking about whether or not Brock would be able to re-sign or not, whether or not the Canucks would give him the money that he wants, whether or not Brock would be able to take a pay cut because he wants a lot of money. Sorry, man, 8.2, 8.5. Man, I thought the Canucks offer of $8 million was already a lot, but still, if Brock were to head over to the free agent market, he probably could get that dollar amount. And if the Minnesota Wild come knocking on his door, or if he goes knocking on their door, says, hey, I'm available and I notice that you guys could use some scoring, Minnesota has $16 million in cap space right now. They have to re-sign some guys. Marcus Johansson's contract is up. Marco Rossi is probably going to get traded himself. Gustav Nyquist is also up too. But other than that, the Wild have a bunch of cap space and enough money to go out there and shell out whatever it is they need to give to get a guy like Brock Boeser onto their team. And if Bruce Boudreau was speaking about this on the freaking TV, saying, yeah, he's always wanted to play in Minnesota, like, oh my gosh, man, this was inevitable. This was Thanos over here. This was always going to happen at some point or another, right? I mean, yeah, Brock Boeser's loyalty to Vancouver was always going to be there, and I think heading into this season, everybody knew that it was going to be a consistent talking point, like, yeah, this guy wants to play in Van, he loves it in Van. But then it got to the point where, yeah, he wants more money than the Canucks are willing to give, and I think a lot of Canucks fans also felt a little bit uncomfortable with the dollar amount ask that Brock and his representation had. So now it's like, yeah, no more Van. Now it's Minnesota. You had Dhaliwal speaking about it on the Halford and Bruff radio show last week that, yeah, Brock is probably going to become a UFA. And whether or not the Patrick Allvin gamble pays off here, it doesn't look like it's actually going to fit in the ways that we thought it would. Patrick Allvin straight up told Brock Boeser and the representation that, yeah, okay, if you want to get more money in free agency, you can go. You can become a free agent and we won't stop you. You can see what's out there on the market, but if you don't like what you're getting, then you can come back and talk to us one more time. We'll be happy to renegotiate. That is such a big ballsy BDE kind of move to make, but you have to be super confident that it's going to work if you're going to make a move like that. And just off of the tea leaves, based off of how everything is shaping up in this offseason and the cap's going up and Brock wants this and some teams have a lot of money to spend, like Minnesota, I don't know if that gamble is going to work out for Patrick Allvin. The Vancouver Canucks will probably need to get themselves yet another goal scorer to stick around on their second line, if you assume that Jake DeBrusk is going to stick around on the first line, potentially with an Elias Pettersson hopefully being able to garner some more offensive capabilities out of him and his profile. This is just the darkest timeline for Vancouver hockey because there is so much uncertainty. And that ultimately is going to drive a big stake into whether or not the Canucks have what it takes to keeping some guys around or bringing in some extra talented names in the offseason. We already made 2 videos in a row yesterday talking about how players may not be involved with the Vancouver discussion as much as they were last year. A lot of guys decided to come to Vancouver last year because it was a great destination to play for. A lot of people were talking about the playoff run and the atmosphere and this and that, but now it's like, yeah, the atmosphere is all negative because everybody wants the gosh darn owner to sell the team. It's been a completely different season for Vancouver, and now we're probably saying bye-bye to Brock Boeser because of it. Hello, Minnesota. Let's see Brock tear it up with Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov on a power play. That sounds like a really nice matchup. Imagine those two guys setting up Brock for 1-Ts. If Brock can actually shoot 1-Ts still, which I don't know if it's really the case that he can, but still, you get what I mean. Marco Rossi setting up a guy like Brock Boeser, assuming Rossi stays, which is not going to happen, but assuming he stays, that guy setting up Brock can be very nice. Kirill Kaprizov, though, if there's anybody that can turn Brock into a 40, 45, maybe even a 50-goal scorer under the right circumstances, step aside JT Miller, maybe Kirill Kaprizov can be that guy. And this is not me suggesting that Brock is a 40 or 50 goal guy. He had one 40-goal season that everybody was super happy to see, but ultimately the seasons that he had around that 40-goal year have been nothing short of 20-goal caliber. And I get that 20 goals is not bad. 25 goals, not bad. But he's going to be making so much money, man. I don't know how to hammer that point down any more than we already have. But for now, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of Brock heading over to Minnesota? The fact that Bruce Boudreau went out there and spoke about it on TV, that he thinks this is going to happen. And if you're a Minnesota Wild fan who stumbled upon this video, what are your thoughts on Brock being your next guy? Do you want to see this happen? Would you want to shell out $8-something million a year to get this player on your team? Is he worth it? Is he not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.